So I've been working on Crash's hand, and I have a new finger design that I've been working on. I did the 3-axis gimbal design already, where it had the 2 servos that work together to actuate the hand and all that kind of stuff, and that was the other design I was working on. The problem with that is with 2 servos next to each other, I need 6 of those for 3 fingers, right? And that starts getting pretty fat when you have 3 fingers next to each other, and I don't want to make the fingers really big. So I haven't really come up with a good way of compacting the 2 servos in on each other, so I thought maybe I should go about a different way of doing it, where there's 1 servo in the hand, and that servo works the finger back and forth, right? And then another servo actuates it to a position. And it got me thinking that maybe I could reprint the case for the servo to make it part of the structure. Like if I could just cut the bottom part of the case off, I keep the gearbox, which is all the fine, minute detail stuff, and just replace the body of it with a part that has eyes on it. Then I can pin that into something, and that servo can hinge around, or something can hinge around on it. So I got to thinking maybe I could put a servo in the first segment of the finger. And I came up with this little diagram here to kind of play with the idea that I had. Yes, it looks like a penis. If this is the hand, so this would be the finger. And the servo this locks into would swing the finger to give us the splay, right, in the hand. But then this segment itself is a servo. And if you watch, if we use embroidery thread here as our tendons, which it could be anything. I could use bicycle cable, I could use fucking ribbon cable, I'll probably just use embroidery thread. This shit's pretty strong, especially if you layer it up. If we have it attached to the base of the segment here, and then it runs over, and these don't even have to be pulleys, it can just slide, right? You crisscross it, and when this segment, so again, this is the servo, so the horn would be here and it would drive itself against this segment back and forth. So if we move these independently with the tendons set up static, it moves the end of the finger as well. So that gives us 2 servos per finger. We get 1 to work the splay, and then the other to make the finger actuate, open and close. And we just use some tendons to actuate the end segment, right? I tried doing it to where I could run plastic rods up through hard segments, and there's no way with how much room the servo takes to do a solid segment connection. At least that's above whatever I'm able to thinking of. So I figured the tendons are probably the best way to go with a design like this. This is all upside down for the camera. This is just a concept, that's not what I'm doing. But there too, I could also do a 2-segment finger instead of a 3, so humans have a 3-segment finger. You have the first, the second, and the third. I don't know the medical names for all that crap. A lot of people out there do, I don't. But you have the first joint, the second joint, and the third joint, and really, with what Crash will and won't be able to do, he doesn't really need the fingertip, right? Because for him it's just a grasper, and then the rest of that is all for interactive stuff, right? Like if he's actually holding something, it's not important that he can grip a baseball correctly, because he's never going to throw a baseball. So as long as he can hold it, that's all that matters, right? And I can do that with a simpler hand while still getting all of the maneuverability for the gestures that I want. So he can still flip you off, and he can wiggle his fingers, and he can get excited and do that kind of stuff with different emotions when they're triggered, right? So this is kind of what I came up with, and then I could put like maybe some little pads on here, and if this whole segment is the actual servo case, then I can also print the crash pad as part of the case too, or mounts for that to screw into. I could use little bits of rubber or something here, or maybe some neoprene, or even I could do a mold with the 3D printer and inject it with silicone like the RTV used to make gaskets on an engine block or something, and make little crash pads out of that stuff. That's pretty good, and it comes in a bunch of different colors, you know. And then attach it to this, and then it's got like a little rubbery pad that gives it some grip. as well. Eventually his hand's going to have like temperature sensors and stuff and things like that, pressure sensors. And this gives me lots of flat surfaces for those to work against. So I'm starting to think this might be the idea here, and it's only one servo wide. So I can stack 3 of them pretty tight together in a small hand, and that keeps it all within the right size package for crash. Yeah. I thought it was cool. My very sophisticated model here. You know, I got 3D printers and milling machines and all that kind of shit at my disposal, and I still use sewing thread and cardboard. you can't diss the basics, man.